All right, so we have officially started day 2. Listen, I won't have a film study for every pick or a video for every pick like I did for day 1, but we'll still be making a lot of these here tonight. So be on the lookout on this channel. I probably will still do winners and losers at the end and all of that stuff. But Keon Coleman to the Bills. They trade back, which I liked. Again, people criticize why are you trading with the Chiefs? But to be honest, I kind of think they got a better player than the Chiefs got. Coleman was higher on my board, and I think could be a great fit for the Buffalo Bills and could be a number 1 receiver and a replacement for Diggs. So they desperately needed a receiver. This is a way to address that. But let's talk about what I like so much about Coleman. Let's start off with a play like this, because I think that for a lot of wide receivers, this is kind of the dilemma when you're drafting someone who isn't one of the top guys, right? The top guys, you trust to win on the outside or win in several other different ways. And then you get to the guys who aren't going in the top half of the first round or aren't projected to go that high. And the question with a lot of these players is, can they succeed on the outside, or do you just draft a slot receiver? Well, Keon Coleman is someone who they're drafting hopefully to succeed on the outside. There's a play like this, which is a one-on-one matchup on the outside. Let's see how he does here. So, the Florida State quarterback is going to take the snap, and he just immediately fires in Coleman's direction. Now, Coleman is not open right here. There's not a lot of separation, which, quite frankly, was a very common thing for Keon Coleman. Keon Coleman isn't the fastest player. He ran a 4.6. I mean, speed is just not his thing. It isn't. And just the reality is, like, he wouldn't always get a lot of separation. However, there's a reason why I still really like him as a player, and it's because there's several different types of receivers. And I would say someone like George Pickens doesn't get a ton of separation, but, he says that he's always open, and he's kind of right. Throw it up, and he'll still find a way to make the catch. Well, I see a lot of similarities with Keon Coleman. Watch how Coleman is able to adjust so nicely, and he makes the grab, and he's one of the better contested catch receivers in this draft class. I mean, he's certainly up there with anybody. I think that everyone would kind of put Odunze at number 1, but in the race for 2, you could certainly make an argument for Coleman at number 2. He is so good at this stuff. Like, this plays another one where it's going to be a, kind of that goal line fade route situation, which a lot of teams really want in a receiver. And, I think that these are really key plays, right? If you can hit on these are 4-point plays sometimes. So let's see what Coleman is able to do. Watch how when this play begins, you see right here, doing a good job of, not selling what he's doing just yet. Also, just to clarify, when I say they're 4-point plays, it's because obviously that's the difference between a touchdown and a field goal usually. Figured that's obvious, but I'll explain anyway. You see how didn't give away what he's doing, but then watch what he's going to do from here. Really, quality footwork for a big guy to move around, defensive back. And again, he adjusts to the ball so nicely. He really is like a rebounder in college, in basketball, excuse me. And his ability to adjust, nicely is really good. He moves so well for his size. And as I mentioned, tall guy, 6'4". So, some guys are 6'4", but they don't really use that height. They kind of just are tall, and because of that, they're able to make more contested catches. He uses the height. Like, he, is able to box guys out and will go up and make a catch too if that's what is necessary. So, really good stuff. And there's plays like this too, because I don't want to make it seem like the only thing he can do is catch jump balls. That's not the case at all. This is a 3rd and 14. It's a one-on-one matchup on the outside. Again, these are if you're a number 1 receiver, you got to be able to succeed in these types of situations. When this play begins, Keon Coleman, you see right here, again, really the stem portion of the route, he might be the best in this draft class, honestly, at that. And hey, there's several ways to win as a receiver. You don't have to be the fastest guy. Look at Drake London, who is, another 4'6" guy, but he works because he's so good at using route running to his benefit. That's what Coleman does. You then see that when he cuts back, look at how far off that defensive back was. Coleman's now made the catch and come down, and it's still, defensive back is still not there yet, and it's because Coleman is so good at that route running. And even without having elite speed, he can still get you to fear him down the field because of his contested catch abilities. So he still is able to play into the, you're able to play. He gets you to play into his hands pretty effectively. Also, watch him be able to make a move off of one defensive back and then leap over another defensive back. So, hey, that's cool too. I mean, how often are you going to have the opportunity to try stuff like that? I don't know. I'll let you be the judge on how valuable you consider that stuff. But the reality is, I think, it's kind of one of those things where if you can do good things on the football field, I usually like it. Even if it's not necessarily something that's going to happen a lot in an individual game, it's still something that I really like and I still think is really good. And, so it's cool to see. I wouldn't draft him just because of that, but it's another pro in the pro column, I think. But let's go over here, because this is something I touched on earlier, but I want to show it. Don't just tell you about it. It's going to be a one-on-one matchup with Coleman on the outside yet again. These kind of situations. Okay, let's see what happens. Once again, Florida State quarterback takes the snap. He is going to fire immediately in Coleman's direction, which, hey, not always a bad strategy. Get it there before the safety can come through. Once again, not a ton of separation, and this one's going to be a bit of a high throw, but I'm not going to say you can never throw it too high for Coleman, but it's usually easier to throw it. Better to throw it too high than not high enough. Because watch him again go up and gets that catch, gets the touchdown in overtime right there. Incredible play. This is just what he's capable of doing. And I definitely think that maybe, for me, I would like to see him have a bit more of a complex route tree. I would like to see him get more separation. I think those things are fair. But again, if he did those things, he would have been drafted in the top 10, right? Like, just because there are some negatives doesn't mean you shouldn't not draft him, because there are so many positives. And even the negatives aren't like, oh, he's bad at this. It's just like, there's question marks there. And like stuff like this is just so really clever, where I've circled where he is on the field. It's going to be I believe it's supposed to be a one-on-one matchup for Clemson here. It was a little bit hard to read exactly what happens, but watch what happens with Coleman. First, you're going to see him really quick kind of almost, sit down in an interesting way where it almost fakes as though he's just, kind of staying right there, but that's not what he's doing. Watch him then step forward towards the middle of the field and gets wide open. Again, that route running and sometimes the clever moves almost reminds me a bit of like Hunter Renfrow sometimes out there, what he can do. That was a good example of just kind of using the, interesting footwork and interesting route running to allow him to get open. So while I think that the 4-6 is going to turn some people off, the fact that, let's be honest, a lot of his routes were just go routes where he wasn't getting separation but was still making the catch is going to concern some people, because will it work in the NFL level when guys have better ball skills against him? Remains to be seen, but there's enough upside for me. I still think he's a good player, and I would bet on him succeeding as a prospect. That's kind of what I think. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from y'all, and of course, as always, thanks for watching. Hey, you made it to the end of the video. I appreciate that. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure you hit the subscribe button or just click on the channel itself. I will be covering every little detail about this draft, so, if there's anything you're interested in, I'm sure I have a video about it. Make sure you check that out. Also, if you like movies, make sure you check out my movie channel. The link is in the description for that. Have a lot of fun stuff on there, some movie reviews, some tier lists, stuff like that. And also, if you want to just hear more of my general thoughts, follow me on Twitter or X, whatever the hell you want to call it. Link is in the description for that as well. And once again, thanks for watching. I do appreciate it.